I love talking with this brother. Here, let's check out the next segment. So how long were you a part of? So you said 15 months after your release, you're now planting Bridge. Because, well, so 3 months after release, you're planting this one with him in your community. And then what, 12 months later, you're planting Bridge. In that season of being a part of the Bridge plant, was there something brewing in you there? Or did that maybe even sooner than that that sparked this understanding of, man, it's not just about the Bible and God's word, which absolutely is foundational, but like, what about here and now? What about people actually being able to be helped, be relieved? Like I heard you on a podcast talk about this basic understanding of an entrepreneur, someone who solves problems. So like, when did that really start brewing in you, or was that even way before all this?
Yeah, and indigenous native people, like, never, that's always a given.
Right. Because you got
Like,
to eat.
yeah, like when like when you grow up on WIC and government assistance and that hard cheese and powder and all that stuff, like it's we you're born into poverty.
Yeah.
So so the hope is that somehow you rise above it, but let's be honest, many don't. And
Mm-hmm.
so to that end, like, for the I've been following Christ for 20 years. So um when I got arrested that night, man, it was a clear call what God was calling me to do. It was the Mark 4 mandate, the madman from the Gadarenes. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
go, he said, go back and tell them how good I've been, which then sets a precedent for that man to be good to his community. And so that's the approach uh, that we've taken. So it's always been in me, man. So here's what I believe. I believe the people who are creating the most problems are the people who can create the greatest solutions.
Hmm. Hmm. Say that one again.
Yeah, the people who are creating the most problems have the capacity to be the ones to create the greatest solutions. Because, number one, they know how to get something done, whether that something is good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the only thing that I think with the church we failed is to have those, what Dave Ferguson would say, those I see in you conversations
Mm-hmm.
that leads to stories like Charles, whose dad murdered his mom,
Mm-hmm.
and he grew up in gangs and drugs and failed relationships, and we bumped into each other, and he saw what I was doing, and he said, "Hey man, will you help me start a business?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I'm still working at my job." I said, "Well, you're gonna have to fire your boss," and he refused to do that. So I
Mm-hmm.
ended the meeting and said, "Well, when you're serious, come talk to me. Until then, don't call me." And so
Mm-hmm.
after a whole year of working, he came back and said, "I'm ready to fire my boss." And so that's when I took him under my wing, and really a disciple making relationship. Was just with him an hour ago. We're on a golf course. So he goes from firing his boss to golfing and leading a company where he's completely replaced his salary, and he's having growing pains, and he's following
Wow.
Jesus, and he's a
Wow.
leader in our tribe. So and so, man, yeah, those are just, we have tons and tons of them stories, man, of what God
Yeah.
does with people who don't just read their Bible.
Right. Right. I love how you said that. I'm still simmering in the thought of the way you placed those who cause the most problems as the ones who could have the most solutions. Not, and I've just never heard it said that way. And the thing that I think strikes me about it is there's so much work in the church done to try and um, I think spark a fire under the still, the inactive, I don't know, the people who are just kind of not doing much of anything. But then those who are moving, who are they're having impact. It's just not the positive kind of impact you want, that are like getting left behind and getting lost.
To your point about the inactive, it's our fault. It's the fault of church leadership. We set up a structure that fed the giant of consumerism and the giant of stardom and the giant of business, so much that now people refuse to come through anybody's doors, because why, when they can just Netflix and chill? You know what I mean? So it's like, but I believe the inactive are in the same boat with the people causing problems, because when the inactive get reactive by church leaders who say, hey, like, there's something more in you and I haven't done you the best service. Can we try this again? What's burning in your heart?
Yeah.
Or what would you like to burn in your heart again? Like, you know what I mean? If you had to be dropped anywhere in the world to a remote location that has the greatest problems, where would it be? And now all of a sudden, these inactive people become the influencers that we need to move the umbrella of the kingdom.
Right. Yeah. So much gold there. Like, I feel like we went to so many different places in that last bit, but the last thing that popped into my mind was the last thing that he was saying was just about ways that we engage the inactives, and reminding them of just the mission of God and the ways that they can partner with that, and the I see in you conversation. It was so cool that he mentioned that Dave Ferguson. I don't know how many people know who Dave Ferguson is, but he's actually the one who started. He leads Community Christian Church in Naperville, one of the larger churches in our area, but he also started Exponential, which is the church planting organization that I was just at the conference of a couple days ago, and he literally I was in a small think tank with him and about 20 other people, and Dave Ferguson literally said the I see in you statement, like that we need to have, So I thought that was interesting, but there's a lot in there. So enough about what I thought. What did you really engage with in that, and what was something that you'd really want to share about?
Yeah, I think it was kind of the same thing, like just having those, realizing that everybody has influence, and, helping people see and finding out, like, what do you want to, what do you see yourself doing? Where would you want to go in your, journey with the Lord? And I don't think that question gets asked often.
Yeah.
Because often we're just serving, but we're not checking in and saying, hey, what has the Lord called you to? Who is the Lord? Who do you think the Lord has called you to influence? What are your, I think that's really important. And I just love the way he spoke to that guy. Like,
you need to fire your boss.
Are you ready to quit your job? No? Okay, well then goodbye.
Right. I was like, dang, that's harsh. But at the same time, like, he's just making it really clear. Like, this is what the journey is. And if you're not ready, that's fine. Just let me know when you are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's okay. Yeah. But I think it was an important conversation, because then that guy knew, like, when I am ready, there's this guy who is going to walk with me through this journey. And that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's so, like, it's harsh / scary, but also refreshing, because it's actually very reminiscent of some conversations that Jesus had with people. Like, I think I even mentioned it on the last episode, but Jesus' conversation with the rich young ruler, where it was like, he's got all this money, and Jesus is like, oh, so you want salvation? You've been obedient to the law and everything. All right, cool. Sell everything you have and then follow me. And, like, it's the same sort of thing where it's like, are you really willing to give all of this up for this thing that you believe you're being called to, that you believe would be, more valuable, a greater gain, as we mentioned in that last episode, and like, just made it really clear. And like, we don't see Jesus going and running after the dude, being like, "But wait, why are you walking away?" Like, he's like, I made it clear. He made his choice.
He wasn't ready. He said, "No thanks."
Right, peace. But I also like in this interview segment how he started off talking about the what did he say, that the ones who cause the most problems are the ones who have the potential to have the most solutions. And I was like, man, that was deep, because we often like just look at the problem causers and put them in this bucket of like, okay, you're an issue, so now let me just deal with these people over here and we're going to try and solve y'all's problem, versus like, let's go here and like, let's actually, trust God and lean into his spirit and watch him transform you guys as we engage. And then now you, as an indigenous person in this issue, can be a solver of this issue,
Exactly.
Man, I like the way he said it.
Yeah, that was good.
That was really good. All right. The next segment, he shares a little bit more. I think this is one of the shorter segments. He shares a little bit more about his church and some of the things that they're doing in entrepreneurial world. I don't think we get into it enough, but one of the things that he really is dealing with right now is this thing called Own the Pond, which came out of the thing that I know all of us have heard before, where you say you could give a man a fish, right? What do they say? Give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Then what's the other half of it? Do you remember? Teach him how to
fish, and he can.
You're like, he can do something. Okay, maybe we don't all know it. Give a man a fish. Feed him give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. But he's like, I don't want to stop there. I want to teach him how to own the pond. And I was like, oh, that's dope. That's really dope. Yeah.